Atmosos here for Rebel News on location in the constituency of Chestermere-Strathmore, just east of Calgary, for another update on our AlbertaDecides.com coverage of the 2023 Alberta election. As you likely know, this was the former constituency of MLA Leela Ahir. Now, she enjoyed quite a bit of success both as a Wildrose and as a UCP MLA in the last election. In 2019, she actually garnered 68.4% of the vote, so a pretty successful win. But after that time, she started dabbling in some progressive politics, attending some liberal events, and ultimately, after seeking the leadership of the United Conservative Party, she came dead last and ultimately decided that she would not seek re-election with the party. On December 17th, 2022, Chantelle de Jonge won the nomination to represent the United Conservative Party in this election. So we're going to join her to speak a little bit about why she chose the UCP and about some of her concerns looking back to the last time the NDP was in power. I am now joined by Chantelle de Jonge. So first off, I guess you're a relatively new face of politics. I know you've been working behind the scenes for quite a while, helping out with some campaigns. But I guess just for folks out there, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, I'm the United Conservative Party candidate for Chestermere-Strathmore in the 2023 election. My background's in economics. That's my bachelor's. I have worked with a federal Conservative member of Parliament, but I also got my trades diploma in dental assisting, and I worked in that industry for about 9 years. And during that time, I had the honor of being the president of my professional association. I live here in beautiful Chestermere, and I was born and raised at on a farm. So I'm a farm girl at heart.
That's awesome. So I suppose with the UCP, the United Conservative Party, there's been like a little bit of contention over the last little while. Obviously, we've seen a leadership change with the NDP out there with the capacity to run as an independent. And then obviously your decision to run with the UCP. Why did you choose the UCP?
Yeah. So my dad was born into a farming family in the Netherlands, and he immigrated to Alberta as a teenager because of the opportunity in this province. And the interesting thing about my dad's story is it's not unique. This is the great story of hundreds of thousands of Albertans in this province. And it's been these unprecedented levels of opportunity that has defined Alberta. But in 4 years, when the NDP was in government, all of that was at risk and all of that opportunity was eroded. And the United Conservative Party has brought that back, has built on that and protected that. This is the most important election in Alberta's history. A difference between an NDP and a UCP government at the end of this month will affect the course of this province for decades. And we need to re-elect a UCP government to build on that opportunity. And that's why I chose to run with the UCP.
Now, this constituency, I believe in the last election, had something like 68% of the vote. Is it still trending blue? I know lots of Calgary communities might be, some of the later polls now trending UCP, but early polls had it very much divided. How are we looking this time around?
Yeah, we're very blessed with the level of support we have here and the great response we've been receiving at the doors.
Now, what does a typical day, I know for folks out there maybe who aren't involved with politics, how many hours a week are you working? What does a typical day look like?
We're spending all our time at the doors. So the number one way to interact with voters is at the doors, ensuring that you're accessible, that you're reaching out to them, hearing what their concerns are, and communicating the party's platform. So we are spending as much time as we can outdoor knocking. So I'm getting those steps in.
So I guess what is the reception like? And maybe, again, with so much talk about the sort of key issues, lots of attention being focused on Calgary. Are you hearing similar concerns as Calgary out? Are there different concerns? And is the reception generally pretty warm?
Yeah. Well, absolutely it is. It is warm. We are receiving great feedback. Certainly Calgary is important to this election. And I think the reason our platform is being well received is because Calgarians are looking for a party and a platform that continues to build on opportunities, continues to diversify and strengthen the economy, and makes their lives more affordable. And these are the same things we're hearing out here. So, the United Conservative Party platform benefits all Albertans, including those in rural Alberta. Just one example of this is our opposition to the NDP's Bill 6 that they've pledged to bring back, which is a huge, egregious attack on family farms in Alberta, including my own family's farm. So the platform that we have developed and have been putting forward benefits all Albertans.
Now, whenever I attend a press or an event, the focus seems unilaterally. There's a lot of distractions out there. There's a lot of attempts to make this personal and go after people. It seems that the party is ignoring that, and they're focused on these universal issues that it doesn't matter where you are, jobs, economy, all these things. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a strong platform, and we know it's one that Albertans can feel confident about going forward into the future. So we don't need to stoop to those low tax. We're focused on what matters to Albertans.
Now, we've had a chance to talk before. You're very sort of policy focused, and like you said, you've got quite a bit of education economics. People probably have a general sense that while the NDP were in, people were leaving the province. There were some downgrades to our credit rating, a number of serious concerns. But are there any sort of particular concerns that you want to point out so people, rather than simply saying, oh, the NDP was bad for the economy, that people should really or can really zero in on?
Absolutely. So yes, I have studied economics at both the undergraduate and a graduate level. And after the NDP was in government, it became glaringly obvious that we needed representatives that had a practical understanding of economics. And I believe we've had that over the past 4 years. And that's been evident in the United Conservative Party platform. And so, it's important to recognize through all of this that, these are not talking points. These are not just stats. These are people's lives. These are people's livelihoods. Our economy is booming right now. We're leading the country in economic growth. All trends and forecasts are showing that this is only going to continue. And the United Conservative Party needs to remain in government in order to build on that. We're also welcoming historic levels of new Albertans to the province. Their families are coming from across Canada to participate in the renewed Alberta Advantage. And it was the UCP that did that. When the NDP was in government, families were leaving this province. We're also seeing historic numbers or historic levels of investment to this province in areas like film and entertainment, AI and tech, venture capital, agri-food, agriculture, and aerospace. And this is really exciting for the constituency of Chestermere-Strathmore because we have de Havilland investing here. We've got CGC Drywall and Phyto Organics investing here. This is incredible. And another NDP government would put all of this investment at risk. Alberta also has the lowest taxes in the country. We're the only province without a sales tax. When the NDP was in, Rachel Notley raised taxes and fees 97 times. And this hurt Albertan families, but also businesses and investment. We saw businesses flee the province, and predictably, we saw a huge drop in corporate tax revenue. But when the UCP came in, we changed this. We lowered the corporate tax rate from 12% down to 8%. We amended 59 pieces of legislation through red tape reduction bills since 2019, and businesses want to be here. We're seeing historic levels of corporate tax revenue right now at $6.4 billion, and this is what helps us fund world-class education and health. We also have the lowest rate of inflation in the country at 3.3%, and we're able to provide Albertans with inflation relief because we've cleaned up the NDP's economic mess and got our economy back on track.
Now, many of those concerns, it's very much a two-pronged battle. Even if you're able to defeat the NDP and form the next government, you'll be faced with Justin Trudeau and a federal government that seems to echo many of the anti-industry sentiments that the NDP have. Like it or not, and it's great to see diversification, it's great to see all those other funds, but part of the reason we have low taxes and part of the reason we can afford the quality of life we do is because of our natural resources. Does the UCP have a plan to continue standing up to the feds?
Absolutely, and we know it's very obvious that Justin Trudeau's Liberals have not treated Albertans fairly. We've seen this recently when they introduced an egregious fertilizer emissions cap that would make farming incredibly difficult in years to come and would threaten the livelihood of the hardworking men and women that feed this country. But Albertans are fed up with Trudeau, and they're fed up with equalization. We saw this in the 2021 equalization referendum. And then with zero consultation, and this was buried in their latest budget, the federal Liberals announced their plan to try to lock in the equalization formula till 2029. So they want to take advantage of our resource revenue and at the same time introduce a just transition plan that would phase out our energy sector and would result in the loss of tens of thousands of jobs in this province. And again, while cost of living has been rapidly rising, their federal carbon tax makes everything more expensive. The average Albertan family pays about $710 on the federal carbon tax after rebates, and they would like to see that increase to $2,000 by 2030. And this just shows how out of touch the federal NDP Liberal coalition is with Albertans. And there's only one party here in Alberta that is listening to Albertans. There's only one party that is putting forward strong policies that would shield Albertans from the federal NDP Liberal coalition spending increases, their spiraling debt, their carbon tax. And that's the United Conservative Government.
Now, worst case scenario for you, I'd imagine, would be the NDP getting back in. Is there a concern? Last time, I think they were probably a little bit surprised that they came in. A number of MLAs had zero practical experience. Do you think that this time they might be more prepared to perhaps enact more of their agenda? Do you think it could possibly be more damaging a second term now that they've had a term in office and they're in this election for real?
Absolutely. And this is why this election is so important. Like I mentioned earlier, a difference between a UCP and an NDP government here will affect the course of this province for decades. It will affect the quality of life for future generations. Decisions made today by the government elected on May 29th will have a very real impact on the opportunities available for us, but also our kids and grandkids. So absolutely, and this is why Conservatives need to get out to the polls this month and do everything they can to help their Conservative representatives get the message out on our incredible platform.
Finally, I guess if you have any final message for Albertans out there, and if you have any details as to where people can find you if they want to get involved.
Certainly. So my office is here in Chestermere at 204-100 Rainbow Road. They can also go to our website, chantelledejonge.ca, or to the United Conservative Party website to find their local candidate and help out. But one last thing I'd like to say is, it has been incredibly difficult recently with all the wildfires here in Alberta, and I just want to take this opportunity to say that our thoughts and prayers are with all those Albertans that have been displaced by this crisis, that have lost homes and property, but also to all the Albertans that have helped out and volunteered throughout this tragedy. And Albertans have really come together, and I think that's what defines Albertans, right? Is coming together and helping each other out.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Chantelle de Jonge. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Sos. Hey guys, just a reminder that AlbertaDecides.com is the absolute best place to go if you want to catch all of our in-depth analysis and exclusive interviews on the subject of the Alberta 2023 election. It's also a great spot to go if you decide that you want to chip in and help support our independent coverage of this election.